Hello, everyone. We are the Group 7, and our topic for today is all about Chapter 7, the operational procedures during hostage taking situations and hostage negotiation. So, what will happen when hostages are taken? Imagine a tense situation where someone has taken people's hostage, maybe in a bank, a store, or even in a home. The first thing the police do is make sure the area is safe. They will set up a secure zone around the building so no one gets hurt and or accidentally walks into the danger zone. Then, a special team of negotiators steps in. Their job is to talk to the hostage taker and try to calm them down. They want to understand why this person is doing what they're doing and find out a way to peacefully end the situation. So, how do negotiators work? Negotiators are like the expert listener and calm voices in a storm. They don't rush or argue. Instead, they patiently listen to the hostage taker story and feelings. It's a way to build a rapport between the hostage taker and the team. They show empathy, meaning they try to understand and acknowledge the person's emotions without judging their actions. They use careful, respectful language to build trust. For example, instead of saying, "No, you can't have that," they might say, "Let's talk about what you really need right now." This helps keep the conversation going and reduces tension between the negotiator and the hostage taker. So these are like my group mates, which will be reporting later. This is our learning objectives in this topic. We aim that the learners, after the discussion, that the learners will learn and understand the things that are happening during hostage taking situations and describe the PNP's guidelines and procedures in handling hostage situations, describe and identify the tactical procedures to be followed in a hostage taking incident, explain the concept of negotiation, define the hostage crisis negotiation, enumerate some of the qualities of a negotiator, identify and appreciate the role of a crisis negotiating team, and the last but not the least, explain the guidelines in handling demands of hostage taker. The four courses of action. Number one, amass officers and massive firepower and assault. So sometimes the police bring in a large number of specially trained officers, like a SWAT team. They come prepared with the strong equipment and tools to handle dangerous situations. So number two, use selective sniper fire. In some cases, police may use snipers, highly trained officer who can take very precise shots from a distance, but they don't just shoot randomly. They use selective sniper fire, which means they only take a shot if it's absolutely necessary to protect lives, like if a hostage taker is about to hurt someone or to kill the hostages. It's the last resort option and done with extreme caution. Use number three, use of chemical agents. Sometimes police might use a chemical agents like tear gas or other non-lethal substances to make the hostage taker less able to cause harm. And number four, contain the area and negotiate through a specially trained negotiator. So throughout all of this, like the situation of the hostage taking, the police make sure that the area around the hostage situation is completely contained. This means that no one can get in or out without permission. It keeps bystanders safe and prevents the situation from spreading. So ICER method. We have the ICER method. I stands for isolate, C stands for contain, and E evaluate, and the last one is report. So isolate physical and psychological activities on the scene and keep onlookers beyond the safety line. So it's which means that the ICER method is like in a hosted situation, keep bystander safety away from separate physical actions from psychological factors. Which means this is to restrict the hostage takers' movement to a small area and prevent them from seeing police activity. Carefully assess the situation as initial reports may be inaccurate and gather detailed information about the people involved, their location, and any dangerous zones to help plan a safe resolution. The important factors to consider during a hostage taking incident. So, number one, intelligence gathering. This means finding out who the hostage takers and hostages are. It involves understanding how strong or prepared the hostage taker to fight back and what kind of weapons they have. And this information as well helps responders know what they are dealing with. Number two, motive. This is about figuring out why the hostage takers are doing what they're doing. Knowing the reasons or goals can give clues on how to handle the situation and increase the chances of resolving it peacefully instead of like making the incident like bigger. Number three, hostage location. It's important to know exactly where the hostage are being held and how they are being kept safe or confined. This helps in planning any rescue efforts. Number five, setting, or number four, setting. This means understanding the area around the hostage scene. So what the building or surroundings looks like, or where exits and entrances are, and any other details that could affect the situation. So basically, setting means the location of where the incident occur. Number five, formulation of plan. If it's decided that a rescue assault is necessary, the plan must be carefully made. The timing should allow the rescue team to get into position without being noticed. And it should minimize the hostage takers' chances to fight back, making the operation safer for everyone. So in short, like the important factors to consider during a hostage taking incident is this is the step by step process to help responders to gather crucial information and carefully plan their actions to safely resolve a hostages incident. So this is the reasons why the hostage takers will surrender. Exhaustion and boredom, fear of the assault by the police, collapse of moral and or motivation, disagreement among hostage takers, the feeling of abandonment, occurrence of medical problems during the process, conviction of futility of persistence, decision of fighting another day, court and prison, achievement of the goal, publicity, development of confidence in the judicial process, recognition by the police of the impossibility of demands they made, assurance of a peaceful surrender in custody, conviction to that harm to hostage is unhelpful to their cause, guarantee of safe passage out of the stronghold, expectation of early release or rescue, intervention or intermediaries, expectation of political asylum, direction of group leaders, assault by arrangement, and the last one will be the backstage political agreement. PNP's guidelines and procedures in handling hostage situation. So the first responders are the police, officers, or personnel who arrive first at a hostage situation. Their main job is to keep everyone as safe as possible by preventing injuries. They are carefully position their team to control the scene, gather important information about what's happening, and take steps of to contain the hostage taker. They should or they hold the situation steady until specialized teams like the SWAT or the crisis negotiation team arrive to take over and work on resolving the crisis. So they are assigned the following tasks. These are the tasks that the first responder will do, like securing the incident scene and establish perimeter security, give a situation updates to the concerned TOC, and inform the hostage negotiation team for possible deployment. Do not allow unauthorized persons at the incident scene. Gather information about the hostage taker and the hostages from the witness. These are the example of the tasks that the first responder will do. Incident commander or IC. So there shall be only one IC holding at least a senior rank. They are in charge during a hostage situation. Their job is to lead and coordinate the entire response. Number one, emergency response plan. So the IC creates a plan based on how serious the threats is from the hostage takers. This plan might include using special tools like chemical agents if needed, but only if it's like appropriate for the situation that they are like trying to resolve. Number two, breakout plan. The more hostages, the greater possibility of a breakout, which police elements should be prepared for. So if there are many hostages, this is like there are also higher chance of hostage takers might try to escape or cause chaos. The incident commander makes sure that the police are ready for this and plans how to respond quickly and safely. Always think about how the hostage takers might react. Number three, the delivery plan can be very dangerous unless carefully planned. Sometimes things like supplies or message need to be delivered to the hostage takers. This can be risky, so if the incident commander or IC makes sure everyone involved knows exactly what to do, this way, if the hostage takers suddenly change their behaviors or plans, everyone can respond safely and effectively by keeping everyone safe is the top priority. Number four, the surrender plan. Surrender plan should be drawn in a way that the hostages' lives will not be jeopardized. So when negotiating a surrender, the primary goal is to ensure everyone's safety, especially the hostages. This means carefully planning to surrender process so that hostages are released before the suspect gives up. By doing so, we minimize the risk of harm during the transition and help the suspect feel they are not being cornered, which can prevent panic or violence. Number five, hostage reception or release. Release hostages should not be taken for granted. Release hostages are the best source of intelligence. So once hostages are freed, their well-being becomes the immediate focus. Medical teams are on standby to check for any injuries on health issues, and mental health professionals offer support to address the trauma they experience. So number six, the collection plan. So collection can very dangerous unless carefully planned. In approaching the suspect after hostages are released requires meticulously planning. Law enforcement teams prepare for various scenarios to ensure the suspect's surrender is handled safely. This includes clear communication among officers, understanding the suspect's states of mind, and having contingency plans in place.
Negotiate. Situation must be stabilized first before the start of the negotiation. This means ensuring the immediate crisis is under control. The area is secured and there's no immediate threat of further violence or escalation. All attempts to negotiate must be done by remote means to protect the negotiator and other personnel. Communication with the hostage taker should be done from a safe distance using phones, radios, or other remote communication methods. Next is adherence to the basis policy on safety of the hostage shall be paramount. The safety and well-being of the hostages is a top priority. During the negotiation, all decisions and actions must consider this first and foremost. Arrest. Effect of the arrest hostage taker when the situation warrants. An arrest should only be made when there's a clear opportunity to do so safety and when it won't escalate the situation or endanger the hostage. This often happens after successful negotiation or when the hostage taker surrenders. Restrain the hostage taker and conduct thorough search on his or her body and the immediate vicinity of the incident scene. After the arrest, the hostage taker must be restrained to prevent escape or further violence. A thorough search is necessary to find any weapons, explosives, or other dangerous items. C. Informs the arrested person of the circumstances of his or her arrest and recite the Miranda warning and anti-torture warning. It's crucial to inform the arrested individual why they are being arrested, and to read them their Miranda rights. The right to remain silent, the right to an attorney, and etc. Additionally, informing them of anti-torture warnings ensures the rights are protected during custody. Number three, tactical assault. It may be resorted of if the hostage taker poses imminent danger of causing death or injury to the negotiator or hostage. A tactical assault is a high-risk option used only when there's an immediate and serious threat to life. When all peaceful means were utilized and failed, and the hostage taker is determined to become more violent, this option is considered only after all negotiation attempts have failed and the hostage taker's behavior indicates an increasing risk of violence. Next is hostage negotiation team. Negotiators shall be designated by IC. No one shall be allowed to talk to the hostage taker without clearance from the negotiator or IC. The HNT is directly under the control and supervision of the IC. Next is assault team and is an assault team shall be alerted for deployment in case the negotiation fails. Members of the assault team shall wear authorized and easily recognizable uniform during the conduct of the operation. E. Crowd control. A crowd control team shall be deployed to manage and control the crowd and augment to the first responders in securing the perimeter. F. Support personnel. Support personnel shall include those in charge of managing traffic, firefighting, providing medical emergency assistance, crime scene processing, and rescue. Post-hostage taking incident. After the neutralization of the hostage takers and rescue of the hostage or hostages, the following processing and debriefing procedures shall be undertaken. A. Clear and secure the crime scene to avoid contamination of evidence. Secure the area to prevent anyone from disturbing or tampering with potential evidence. B. Evaluate the hostages and other injured persons. Move hostages, injured individuals to safety and provide medical attention. C. Conduct CSI crime scene investigation is conducted to document, collect, and analyze physical evidence from the scene. D. Conduct debriefing on hostages and participating personnel. Gather information from hostages and personnel involved to understand the events and effect of the incident. E. Take the sworn statement of the witnesses, hostages, hostage taker, and key participants in the incident. Collect formal sworn statement from everyone involved to document the event and facts for legal purposes.